the top 9 list for the months of November and December. I tried to do a top 10, but weirdly enough I was going through my back catalogue of films that I watched back then, couldn't seem to find a 10th film to add to the list. The good news is most of the films on this list are of the higher quality. So number 9 is Murder on the Orient Express. Wasn't a huge fan of this film, to be honest. It had such a tremendous cast, but I mean, I'm aware of the original book and the way that they ended it with everybody doing the crime, but it just felt wrong. It felt like a cheap shot, and I didn't like that plot twist. And so, you know, I'm not going to watch it again. I put it at number 9 as the worst film I watched during those 2 months. Number 8 was The Man Who Invented Christmas. This is about Charles Dickens and how he wrote the book, the story Scrooge. And basically it shows us the influences in his life. I don't think it's based on a true story. It's taking basically what they imagine how someone would get inspiration to write a story, which is a fiction from the world that they live in. It's an okay film, it's a Christmas movie. It's not something I'm going to watch repeatedly. I doubt I'd ever watch it again, to be honest, with Scrooge, with Bill Murray out there as well. But anyway, there it is. Number 7 is a film called A Cyrus Child. Now, A Cyrus Child went straight to Netflix recently, but it came out on DVD in November of 2017, and it's about this bounty hunter, I think, who goes after his. Yeah, it's about this. It's about an engineer. I can't remember what it was. An engineer. He leaves this ship, which has been ordered to destroy the planet below it. And he goes down to the surface to find his child, who is down there at the time, to try and save her, but is not going to be enough. The people on the ship don't want the people on the Earth to know that the planet's about to be destroyed, and there's this conflict where people are trying to stop him saving his daughter, and he refuses to leave the planet until he has his daughter. It's a proper decent action film, because the reason they want to blow up the planet are these monsters, aliens that are on the planet, killing off the humans that are living down there, and he has to contend with all of that while contending with the people on the ship who want to stop him. So it's a proper decent sci-fi action film. It's not perfect. I can't pinpoint its flaws. It's just it's got that straight to video vibe, if you know what I mean. But it's got some decent special effect budget added to it, and it seems to, the people behind it definitely have heart and ambition. I just think it ranks up there. I've remembered it and I've added it to this list. It's worthy of its number 7 spot. Number 6 was Star Wars The Last Jedi, a December release. I personally hated this film. It made it number 6 because it's the film that stands out the most. Maybe it's one of those controversial films that because it was so bad, I remember it. And I saw it, I think, 4 times. That's because I have to take other people to the cinema to see it with me, and I'm not going to go into it, but I saw it 4 times. And basically, I'm annoyed at the Mary Poppins, Carrie Fisher shot. I'm annoyed at the bombs that can somehow go down, like there's gravity in space. I'm annoyed at the starship that can now suddenly go into hyperspeed and blast another starship into pieces. That's not how hyperspeed works. It hasn't been shown to do that in any of the previous films. I'm annoyed about so much. As a film, it's still enjoyable to watch, but I was screaming at more moments than I wanted to, and it's not a film that I will go back into. I'm not a big fan of the whole Star Wars franchise. I'm more of a Trekkie, to be honest. I like my sci-fi to have some basis in reality, and Star Wars just throws reality out the window and just goes for a cartoon almost. In fact, it's probably that's not doing the cartoon justice, because the Clone Wars and the Rebels, Star Wars Rebels, are actually decent shows. So I don't even want to say that. Anyway, moving on. Number 5 was Pitch Perfect 3. Yeah, it beat Star Wars. A film where a bunch of singers, a cappella singers, are going off on one of their adventures. This film got a bit silly with the martial arts sequence on the cruise ship and trying to fight off the henchmen. I won't say it was one of the better cinema experiences, and it's definitely the worst of the 3 Pitch Perfect 3 films. But it was still a good film. It still had heart, still had a bit of enjoyability, and it made me laugh at times. It was light-hearted, and for that it was definitely a film I think a few people, maybe not me, but I can imagine a lot of people are going to watch that film probably yearly, especially fans of the main cast. Number 4 was a film that probably no one's ever seen. It's called Mayhem. I think it's an Australian film. I'm not positive. It stars the person from The Walking Dead. I don't know his name. It'll probably come up on the screen now. And it's basically about this this office building where a virus breaks out, and it causes anyone who contracts the virus to become extremely violent and start to kill everybody. It hypens up all their emotions and shuts off their the barriers that hold people back from committing violent acts. So suddenly almost everybody in this building goes on a murder spree. It's a bit violent, as you might imagine, but it's a very cool in regards to the film has very what do you do in this scenario. If you haven't got the virus and everybody around you is killing each other, do you try and hide? How do you get out the building? Can you, if the people outside are trying to keep you inside because they don't want the virus to escape? It's a very intense film that does have an ending. It was the best ending they could come up with, I imagine, because quite frankly, when something like this happens, you just want them to blow up the building and be done with it. But no, it doesn't go that route, and it's a film I recommend, and it's definitely better than Star Wars and Pitch Perfect. Number 3 is Justice League. Now, I'm a comic book junkie, as I've mentioned a few times, and Justice League was a film I had my fingers crossed so much for it to work. Sadly, I don't think it did that. It was a competent enough film. If nothing else, it overdid the CGI. Every single shot was CGI on a soundstage. And not only was everywhere they shot the background, but obviously the upper lip. And I didn't like the costumes. They were just a bit too clunky. I miss the Flash. The Flash is supposed to be... The Flash was someone who put his costume together in his own garage. He shouldn't have had a whole production unit make it for him. And the same with several of the other characters. And Cyborg did not need to be CGI the entire time. I just felt they overdid it. And the film wasn't long enough. It should have been half an hour longer. Should have explained the villain's motives. Steppenwolf, we should have known what he was doing. They shouldn't have left the mother box, which when they resurrected Superman and the mother box went flying away, and then they just forgot about it. Okay, they're supposed to be Batman's supposed to be one of the smartest people on the planet. It just felt like they'd written a bunch of scenes that they wanted to see and somehow put them on a post-it note and put them in a sequence that would somehow make sense, but not really have a natural progression from scene to scene to scene. It was just a bunch of post-it notes and there was barely a link to link them to each other. It is a film I watched several times and I will watch it again, because especially for that, if nothing else, for those sweet 3 minutes where Superman fights the rest of the Justice League, I like that scene and it's enjoyable to watch, especially Superman versus the Flash. But that is pretty much the only thing that really keeps it alive for me. I wasn't interested in the Russian family living in a house where the whole armada of parademons couldn't get through the window. It's like, what on earth? They're supposed to go up against Superman and a pane of glass is stopping you. Justice League didn't do it for me, but it is one that, as a comic book junkie, I have to own. Number 2 is another film you've probably not been seeing. It went straight to DVD or Blu-ray, and it's Beyond Skyline. This is the sequel to the original Skyline film with the aliens that come to Earth and attack us all, and it's the follow-up to that. It stars Frank Grillo, I think his name is. He's the person from The Purge Anarchy, and it's an amazing film. It's number 2 on my list, beating all those others I just said. Basically, it's a bit like 2 films back to back, because you can see what I think they had like 2 films which were both okay, and somebody had the idea of taking those 2 scripts or 2 films and merging them together and creating one proper decent 90-minute film where it's set immediately after the first film ends. So the alien ship is here attacking the Earth, and Frank Grillo has to go up to the ship, and it doesn't ignore what happened in the first film. And the first film got mixed reviews. I mean, it wasn't great. It had a load of dull moments. The second film is phenomenal. It's so much better than the first. If you like your alien invasion attacking the Earth and it's the end of the world and what you're going to do, it's basically that. And then it takes it to the second half of the film where it's more ground warfare, and it kind of concludes the story with a big massive fighting sequence where the humans are fighting the aliens and they found a way of going after them. It's what Independence Day Resurgence should have been, and it's I highly recommend you go find Beyond Skyline, because it was just a fun film to watch. And the special effects, the guy's in an alien spaceship, and this must have had a budget of 50 million. I don't know how much it had, but it was, I mean, it puts Justice League to shame. Justice League was this mega 200, all of that was obviously given to the cast because none of it was on the special effects. Beyond Skyline, almost all the money went on special effects, and it shows. It is amazing. So that ranks as number 2. And the number 1 film of these two months is obviously Thor Ragnarok. Now, Thor Ragnarok is just a fun film. Yes, maybe they overdid the CGI, which is weird that I'm saying that for the last 3 films. But Beyond Skyline, a straight-to-video movie, did a good job of it. Thor Ragnarok does an okay job. You still know that this is a cartoon world, and I do hope, I don't see any reason why they had the scenes where Hela and Thor and Loki were on a field. Why did that have to be in green screen? Was it so difficult to take the camera outside and just film it? I mean, surely it must be cheaper to just film on a cliff edge. I don't understand why every scene needs to be 90% green screen. Thor Ragnarok was that, but it's still, what saves it is the script. It is so funny. I'm laughing at times. The action is tight. Everything makes sense. The Kasahiris, everything. The moments where Matt Damon suddenly appears and Sam Neill, and all these, everything. It was such a tight, well done film. I think I've seen it 6 times. It was one of those ones I watched a lot, and I enjoyed it every single time. The moment where Thor throws the ball, it hits the glass and hits him in the head. It just makes it such enjoyable for repeat viewing. It has to be my number 1 because I've seen it so many times. I will watch it again and again and again. It beats Beyond Skyline because of its easy to watch appeal. That's basically the months of November, December. It's I'm aware that when I put these lists together, that the fact that I couldn't come up with a 10th film is an interesting dynamic, because I must have seen more, but nothing else sticks out in my head. I can't remember it, and I did research certain films. I do have a complete list for October, which I might shoot, but it's a weird that those months were quite quiet. But from the list, we've got number 1 is Thor Ragnarok, number 2 is Beyond Skyline, number 3 is Justice League, number 4 is Mayhem, number 5 is Pitch Perfect 3, number 6 is Star Wars The Last Jedi, number 7 is A Cyrus Child, number 8 is The Man Who Invented Christmas, and number 9 is Murder on the Orient Express. That's the video for the November and December of 2017. Thank you.